Stepdaughter agreed to consider me her mother for $2,000 a month. When I refused, she insulted me, and my husband sided with her. So I kicked them out of my house because I don't want to be a mom and wife to such people. I never thought I'd find myself in this position. At 45, looking around my spacious house in the city's most prestigious neighborhood, I should have felt completely fulfilled. After all, I had built everything from scratch, a thriving chain of spa salons that had become the talk of the town, a beautiful apartment downtown, and this house that most people could only dream of. But something was missing. My name is Jenna Mitchell, and despite all my success, there was an emptiness that no amount of business achievements could fill. Every evening, I'd come home to silence the house felt too big to quiet. My friends, most of them happily married with children, would often try to set me up with someone, but nothing ever clicked. Jenna, you can't keep working 60 hours a week, my best friend Sarah would say. There's more to life than business meetings and profit margins. I knew she was right, but building my spa empire had been my focus for so long that I'd forgotten how to prioritize my personal life. It started with one small salon in a strip mall, where I worked as both owner and esthetician. Through determination and countless sleepless nights, I expanded to 3 locations, then 5, and now 8 successful spas across the city. Unhappy, I'd insist whenever the topic of my personal life came up. But was I? The truth was, I'd see mothers and daughters coming to my spa together, sharing laughs and precious moments, and something inside me would ache. One evening, as I sat in my home office reviewing quarterly reports, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah again. "Jenna, don't you dare tell me you're working late again," she said before I could even say hello. "Just finishing up some paperwork," I replied, already knowing where this conversation was heading. "Well, stop whatever you're doing. There's a dinner party at Lisa's house this Saturday, and you're coming. No excuses this time." I tried to protest, but Sarah wouldn't hear it. "There's someone I want you to meet," she added with that tone that meant she was up to something. "Sarah, please don't tell me this is another setup," I groaned. "Trust me on this one, Jen. He's different. He's successful, divorced, has a teenage daughter. He's real, not like those workaholics I've introduced you to before." Something in her voice made me pause. Maybe it was time to take a chance. "Fine," I sighed. "But this is the last time I'm letting you play matchmaker." A dinner party was exactly what you'd expect: good wine, better food, and the kind of conversation that flows easily among old friends. That's when I saw him. David Anderson stood out in the crowd not because he was particularly striking, but because of the way he carried himself. There was a quiet confidence about him that caught my attention. We moved to a quieter corner of the room, and before I knew it, hours had passed. David was a corporate lawyer who'd been divorced for 3 years. His 15-year-old daughter, Emma, lived with him and her mother on alternate weeks. "It must be challenging co-parenting a teenager," I said, sipping my wine. David chuckled. "Emma's a good kid, but you know how teenagers are. One minute they're your best friend, the next they're rolling their eyes at everything you say." We discovered we shared a love for hiking, classic movies, and terrible dad jokes. It felt easy, natural. When he asked for my number at the end of the evening, I didn't hesitate. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant downtown. The conversation flowed as easily as it had at the party. "Tell me about Emma," I said, genuinely curious about his daughter. His face lit up. "She's brilliant, really into art and photography. She's going through the typical teenage phase where she thinks she knows everything, but underneath it all, she's got a good heart." They started seeing each other regularly: movie nights, weekend hikes, quiet dinners at home. For the first time in years, I found myself thinking about something other than work. The topic of meeting Emma came up naturally after a few months of dating. "I think she'd like you," David said one evening as we walked through the park. "She's been asking about you." I felt a flutter of nervousness. "Are you sure it's not too soon?" We've been dating for months. I think it's time." The meeting was arranged for the following weekend. Emma would come to one of my spas, then we'd all have dinner together. I spent hours making sure everything would be perfect. When Emma walked into the spa, I saw David in her features, the same warm brown eyes and easy smile. She seemed shy at first, but as I showed her around the spa and introduced her to the staff, she began to open up. "This is so cool," she said, looking around the treatment room. "Dad said you own all of these?" 8 locations now, I replied, trying not to sound like I was bragging. "Would it be okay if I tried some of the treatments?" she asked hesitantly. I smiled and handed her a VIP membership card. "Consider this a welcome gift." Her eyes lit up, and for a moment, I saw the child beneath the teenage exterior. "Really, thank you." That evening at dinner, Emma couldn't stop talking about her spa experience. David caught my eye across the table and smiled, and I felt something shift inside me. Maybe, just maybe, this could work. As the months passed, our relationship deepened. David and I fell into a comfortable rhythm, and Emma seemed to genuinely enjoy spending time with me. She'd stop by my spas regularly, sometimes bringing her friends, and we'd have long conversations about school boys, and her dreams for the future. One evening, about a year into our relationship, David and I were having dinner at my house when he suddenly became serious. "Jenna," he said, reaching across the table to take my hand. "This past year has been amazing. He brought so much joy into my life, into our life. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" The ring he pulled out was simple but elegant, just like our relationship. Tears welled up in my eyes as I nodded. "Yes. Absolutely yes." He decided on a simple ceremony at City Hall with just immediate family present. When we told Emma, her reaction wasn't quite what I expected. But why can't we have a big wedding? She protested. I wanted to be a bridesmaid. Everyone at school talks about their parents' weddings. I pulled her into a hug. Sweetie, you have your whole life ahead of you. Your wedding can be as big and beautiful as you want it to be. After the wedding, David and Emma moved into my house. I had the best room the house redecorated for Emma, letting her choose everything from the paint colors to the furniture. She seemed thrilled with her new space, and for a while, everything was perfect. We traveled together, tried new restaurants, and spent cozy evenings watching movies. Emma would often join me in my home office, doing her homework while I worked on spa business. It felt like the family I'd always wanted. But there was one dark cloud in our otherwise sunny sky: David's ex-wife, Karen. From the moment we met, she made it clear that she didn't approve of me. She wouldn't even speak to me directly when she came to pick up Emma, instead sending messages through David or Emma. Her mother seems intense, I said to Emma one day after a particularly cold exchange. Emma shrugged. She's just protective. She keeps track of everything she spends on me to show Dad she contributes more down to my monthly supplies. She has spreadsheets. I found this obsession with money strange, but I kept my opinions to myself. After all, Karen was still Emma's mother, and I didn't want to cause any tension. At first signs of trouble were I noticed Emma paying more attention to price tags when we went shopping. She'd make comments about how much I spent on myself versus what I spent on her. At first, I brushed it off as typical teenage behavior, but it started becoming more frequent and more pointed. One day, I caught her going through my closet examining the labels on my clothes. What are you doing? She jumped, looking guilty. Just looking. That's a nice dress, how much did it cost? That's not really appropriate to ask, I said gently. Is something bothering you? She stormed out without answering. Later, I tried to discuss it with David. Honey, I'm worried about Emma's fixation on money, I said as we got ready for bed. David waved it off. She's a teenager. They all go through phases. This feels different. It's like she's keeping score. You're overthinking it, he said, kissing my forehead. Everything's fine. But everything wasn't fine. The situation came to a head during Emma's senior year. One evening, she spread college brochures across our dining room table. Look at these programs, she said excitedly. This one's in New York, and this one's in California. I looked at the brochures, all prestigious private colleges with astronomical tuition fees. Have you considered some more affordable options? I asked carefully. Emma's expression changed instantly. Why would I need to? You're rich, you can afford these schools. I looked at David for support, but he just nodded. Of course you'll help with Emma's education, right honey? A presumption in their voices stunned me. We need to look at all options, I said firmly. Not just the most expensive ones. We need to consider Emma's academic abilities and our budget. Emma's reaction was explosive. She swept the brochures off the table, sending them flying.